Hello and welcome to our final block for the year, this time on reproductive health in Spain. This is just a short 2-week mission and our 7th and final physiology-based block. And we'll start in the week commencing 30 September and conclude in the week commencing the 7th of October. And that will also be the final teaching week for the subject for this year. But of course you still have your third assignment, which is due a couple of weeks after that. As usual, there's only one spacewalk that you can work through the materials at your own pace. We have a meet and expert session which will happen on the 30th of September. This will not be recorded as the presenter has requested this, but you can watch all our other recordings on YouTube in the usual way. And if you want to have another look at this brief video at any time, you can find the link on Canvas. There is some preparation required for the mission roundtable and debrief, otherwise known as the tutorial. There'll be a recap from the neuroscience block. Please have a look at Canvas for the names, topic allocations and instructions, and please be ready to present when you come. And your final assignment, the ePortfolio reflective piece, is due no later than Sunday the 20th of October. There is a peer review component which is currently due by the 27th of October unless the department advises us that it needs to be due earlier, but I would recommend that you do that as soon as possible after the submission date. And it's still recommended to prepare 2 short reflections for your ePortfolio. The first to supplement your written report, which was due to be submitted prior to the start of this block, just so you have a comprehensive resource at your disposal, and a spin-off reflection to support your final ePortfolio reflective piece presentation. And I refer you to the very large number of spin-off resources which are available via the spin-off tile on the Mission 8 homepage. If you have a look at the homepage for this block, it's pretty much the same as all the others, with a number of standard drop-down tabs, and then we have the tiles for the tutorial, for the EVA or your learning resources, meet and expert session, and the link for the spin-off materials. The to-do list is there with your tasks and the key dates. And for inspiration this time, we're thinking about our favourite space-related music, and then the standard extension resources are there for your use if interested. In terms of the spacewalk, this is set out in the customary fashion with the drop-down tabs. The learning outcomes are to understand the impact of microgravity on female and male reproductive function, the impact of space radiation on reproductive function, identifying gender-based differences in the response to spaceflight, understanding the importance of the management of birth control, menstruation and gynecological issues, being aware of a range of practical challenges facing reproduction in space, and appreciate why ethical considerations are important in discussing reproduction in space. The learning resources are organised into 2 accordions for you. The first one is a series of expert video presentations and panel discussions, all of which are very interesting. And then the second accordion is a set of readings and journal articles. The abstracts are there as well as all the links, so you can have a look and decide which ones you would like to read in full. There's a Padlet to think about the things that you've learned from this block and reflect on these questions. As usual, there are 3 specific questions and 3 general questions, and I encourage you to put some thoughts on Padlet to share with your fellow students. And for review, we have a fun crossword for you to fill in. And then in terms of extra resources, there's the University Library book list, some additional articles, and also some additional videos. For our Meet an Expert session, we're very lucky to have Dr. Begum Mathik, who is one of the leading reproduction in space people in the US, and she's going to come along to talk to us about her work and her research. So I'm sure that that will be very interesting. Her little biography is there, plus a link to a web page where you can read more. She has requested that this session not be recorded because sometimes she shares unpublished data. And also there's a little Padlet just to reflect on the webinar afterwards. Just to remind you about the spin-offs tile and the list of resources which are there to help you, particularly with your third assignment, but also just generally to think about the translational research aspects of the research that's carried on in space and how it can help life and particularly health here on Earth. With our tutorial, we'll be starting with our final inspirational video for the year, which is looking at future exploration of Mars, then undertaking the recap for the neuroscience blocks. So the allocations and instructions are there on Canvas, small group discussion, and then finally the debrief, both for the neuroscience block and the year-long mission as a whole. For the small group discussion, we have 4 interesting questions this time to think about how generational evolutionary principles would apply to humans who live and work in deep space or on other celestial bodies. What might a person who's born in deep space or on the Moon or Mars experience on entering the 1G environment of Earth? Why is the issue of access to appropriate types and standards of medical care important when discussing obstetrics, gynecology, and pediatrics? And finally, what social determinants of health might be difficult to provide for children in space? So I'll give you a chance to talk through those questions in your small groups and then to come back and share your thoughts with the whole group. And there's a Padlet there for you to record your thoughts if that would be helpful. And lastly, the debrief. As mentioned, this will cover both the neuroscience block and also the year-long mission as a whole. So please think if there's any feedback that you would like to share, because this will be the last opportunity to do that. And lastly, once you have successfully completed all the mission tasks, please go back to the home page at the start of the subject, have a look at the uniform tab, and there you will be able to download and then customize your certification of successful mission completion. So that's just a little souvenir that you can take away with you. Thank you very much for your attention, and I hope that you enjoy our final block.